Does everybody hear me? Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are so glad to see you today. We're having our 19th annual World AIDS Day. And so I am so glad to invite you into this time together. World AIDS Days began in 1988, and it's the first global health event that had ever taken place. And so we are just, for 19 years, we have done it at St. Paul, and it was started with Bishop Fritz Moody 19 years ago. And he's not with us today, but he does send his greetings to us and thanks for the fact that we have continued this annual day of something very important. So welcome. I'm so glad that we have technology that brings us from all over the world. And so that is a blessing. And I'm going to turn to my friend, Reverend Dr. Tiffany Nagel-Monroe, who brought us our speaker today. So, Tiffany. We can't hear.
Thank you, Dean Narcisse. It is my honor and privilege to introduce our St. Paul School of Theology Forum guest speaker and my dear friend, Reverend Dr. Catherine Mutua, all the way from Kenya. So it's nighttime there, and we are so glad she is with us today. I had the distinct blessing of meeting Dr. Mutua in Kenya and witnessing her compassionate leadership when she was the bishop of the Methodist Church in Kenya, the Kaga Synod. Reverend Mutua was the first African woman bishop ever elected in the Methodist Church in Kenya. Bishop Mutua's collaborative work with the Center for Health and Hope, established in the Kaga Synod around 2005-2006 by Reverend Dr. John Messer and Dr. Bonnie Messer, supported orphans and vulnerable children affected by HIV and AIDS. The initiatives included paying school fees, implementing food provision programs, constructing shelters, and training community health workers. The center also assisted street children and families, conducted health prevention programs, and organized free medical camps and seminars. In 2012, Bishop Mutua founded a street children's program, providing essential services and facilitating their integration back into society. The ministry of Bishop Mutua and the Center for Health and Hope in the Kaga Synod continues today. Dr. Mutua identified a gap in mental health understanding related to HIV/AIDS within the church during her involvement in the Orphans and Vulnerable Children program. In response, she established the Methodist Treatment and Rehabilitation Center in July of 2018. After completing her term as bishop, Reverend Dr. Mutua was appointed as the center's director. Dr. Mutua has her Doctor of Philosophy in Counseling and Psychology. Bishop, sister, welcome. It is truly our honor to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nigel. I'm so happy that you could invite me to come and share with sisters and brothers from St. Paul's. It's my great honor and privilege to be with you. Here it's at 8 p.m. in the evening, and there is in the morning. So good morning, everyone. Allow me to share the slides. Yeah, like you have heard, I am here to share about HIV and AIDS and mental health, because we are celebrating the HIV and AIDS World Day today. And so we want to see how the two relate or interact with each other. And the next line will show you the overview of my presentation. I actually don't intend to read every statement. You can see it from the screen. And if there is a problem, I would request that you stop me or let me know. So are we together up to that point? Dr. Nigel, are we together?
Yes, we are, Bishop.
All right. So that clip is showing the general overview of the entire presentation. And on the background, that is a small citation that Dr. Nigel has read on me or about me and the way we interacted with the Center for Health and Hope. And so if you don't mind, I do not intend to go back to that. I'll go to the next slide that is talking about the overview of HIV and AIDS in Kenya. And these are statistics according to World Health Organization. And so this information could be available to each one of you. So like the rest of the world, the incidence of HIV and AIDS in Kenya has continued to fall and is now at 5.9% compared to the global population, which was 10% in mid-1990s. There is also a higher percentage of HIV positive individuals who are on retroviral drugs today than 30 years ago. Research also shows that most HIV positive individuals in Kenya adhere to their medication. And it's only a few, that is like 10% who do not. And that research was done in 2016. We also would say that HIV prevalence in Meru, and Meru is where I am. This is my county, this is where I live, is at 2.9%, which is actually lower than the national average. As at 2015, the county contributed 1.5% and 2% of the total new HIV infections in the country, and that was among children and adults, respectively, in the country. This is still a very significant number, and actually it requires attention and mitigation from all stakeholders. Below there, you can see the statistics from 2007 and also 2014. What is the mental health impact? And this is very, very important. Studies have demonstrated a relationship between mental health illnesses and HIV. This includes substance use disorders, mood disorders, anxiety, and other cognitive disorders. There are so many. According to the studies, various mental health issues are associated with an increased risk of HIV infections and is interfering with the treatment of the sick. Statistics also show that there is a high prevalence of HIV infections among people with chronic mental health issues, with the prevalence rates being between 5% and 23% among people with chronic mental health illnesses, compared to between 0.3% and 0.4% among the general population. And we are going to see why. So, common mental health problems affect, among others, young adults and children living with HIV. Some of the common health problems facing young adults and children living with HIV includes depression and anxiety. And this is because of losing parents through HIV and AIDS. They also suffer from intimate partner challenges, as being HIV positive can lead to rejection and lead to mental health problems. Also, having non-supportive work environment And discrimination in the workplace is also a common problem. Let us see the accessibility of mental health services. And these are actually barriers. One of the main barriers is stigma and discrimination. Individuals living with HIV in this country and in this county of Meru face stigma and discrimination, not only related to their health status, but also regarding mental health. Beyond the stigma associated with HIV, there may be a separate stigma related to mental health issues. This dual stigma can create significant barrier to seeking and receiving mental health care. And actually, this is why I felt motivated to start a treatment center for mental health because of stigma and ignorance that I observed from the church. The second barrier is lack of integration. Mental health services are not always integrated into HIV care programs. This lack of integration can result in individuals receiving medical care for HIV, but not addressing their mental health needs. Limited mental health resources is also another barrier. In Kenya today, there is no shortage of mental health professionals, but the problem is the lack of resources to hire them, making it difficult for people with HIV to access timely and appropriate mental health care. And this is a serious problem in this country. Financial barrier is another problem. Affordability and lack of financial resources can hinder access to mental health services. Some individuals may be unable to afford therapy, counseling, or psychiatric medications. The other barrier, and a big one, is lack of awareness. Some individuals living with HIV may not be aware of the potential mental health challenges associated with the condition, or may not even recognize the symptoms. This lack of awareness can delay seeking help. What are some of the coping strategies in this country of ours? One, we have family and social support. This involves strengthening relationship with the family and friends can be crucial. And this involves having supportive networks can help reduce feelings of isolation and provide practical assistance. The other coping strategy would be being in the church. Many Kenyans turn to church. Actually, we are said to be notoriously religious. We turn to church for solace. The church has been in the forefront a sense of purpose. Coping strategy, counseling, for therapy. This involves seeking professional counseling for psychotherapists. This is limited to a few. Economic empowerment involves enhancing economic opportunity. And this is what the Center for Health and Hope, through Don Mesa and Bonnie, and the friends from that organization have been to do to our people here in this country. That is economically empowering people. And then another coping strategy is the ability to access medication and healthcare. And in this, I want to say that I am so grateful that the government has been providing the retroviral drugs for people who are HIV and AIDS positive. But the other thing that complicates this is the lack of finances or resources to even go and get the medicine, because mostly they are found in hospitals and people live in the rural areas in the country. Another coping strategy is peer education, empowering individuals living with HIV to become peer educators has been known to foster a sense of purpose and contribute to community resilience. Peer education programs can also reduce misinformation and stigma. And this is what the church in Kaga Synod has been doing over the years, since when it started, and it is still doing that campaign today. And in a sense, it has helped reduce the numbers of people who are living with HIV and AIDS today. The other coping strategy is healthy lifestyle choices. This is encouraging healthy lifestyle choices, such as regular exercise and balanced diet. Although balanced diet sometimes is difficult because people tend to eat what is available. They don't have a choice, they eat what is available to them. So that has helped a lot. Next line shows the strategies of the prevention of mental health issues among people who are living with HIV in Kenya. One strategy is early detection and intervention. This is by implementing regular mental health screening as part of routine HIV care. And this is something that we as the Methodist Treatment and Rehabilitation Center has seriously been doing. We have sought support to do free medical care services, which helps us to do what we call VCT, that is voluntary counseling and testing for HIV, and also doing the counseling bit to the clients. So early detection is very important, and intervention on the same. And then the other one is integrated healthcare services, where we integrate mental health services into existing HIV care programs to address both the physical and the mental needs. This is where we use multidisciplinary teams that includes mental health professionals who establish the treatment centers. Or in the treatment center, we invite people for screening, for counseling, and for even pastoral, because like we have put it, we work with the pastors, we work with the counselors, we work with the psychiatric doctors, we work as a team so that we are able to have the integrated healthcare services to our people. The other one is cultural competency training. I hope our dog is not disturbing you. Please go and stop it. Are we together?
Yes, we're
All
fine.
right. I hope our dog is not disturbing you. It's making noise.
Not at all.
Oh, thank you.
We love dogs.
Yes.
Oh, that helps. Yeah, the other strategy is cultural competency training. This means providing cultural competency training for mental health professionals to ensure sensitivity to diverse cultural beliefs and practices. This is because some of our people confuse HIV and AIDS. They confuse mental health problems with witchcraft. They think people have been bewitched or have been, so there are some serious myths surrounding mental health and HIV. Some think it is a curse, And so that cultural training is very, very helpful to make the people understand the complications of these conditions so that they are able to help the people. The other one is assessing information resources. This is not very easy and this is not readily available to create and distribute informational resources that address the mental health aspects of living with HIV and AIDS. The next slide, I'm talking about the role of counselors and therapists in promotion of mental health among people living with HIV. Number one is assessment and diagnosis of mental health illnesses. Counselors and therapists conduct comprehensive assessment to understand the client's mental health status, including factors related to living with HIV/AIDS. Then there is psychoeducation, where the counselors provide psychoeducation to clients, offering information about mental health, coping strategies, and potential impact of HIV and AIDS on mental well-being. This education helps clients better understand their experiences and equips them with the tools to manage mental health challenges. There is also their role to help in crisis interventions. In terms of crisis, counselors provide immediate support at the interventions to manage acute mental health issues. And this involves assessing risks, providing emotional support, and facilitating access to appropriate resources. Support for coping and resilience. Counselors assist clients in developing coping strategies to navigate the challenges associated with living with HIV and AIDS. They work collaboratively to build resilience and empower clients to effectively manage stressors and uncertainties, addressing stigma and discrimination. And finally, family and relationship counseling. And then the next slide concerns the pastors in the community. And I have lifted this from 1 Peter 5:2-4. And this is what I picked. And I am able to relate with this because I have been a Methodist pastor for the last 26 years. So the pastor serves as an ambassador for the church in the community. He is always with the people. He is the hands and the feet of God in the ground. When you talk about the church, people will always look at the pastor and they will understand God better or in a better position if they can be able to see a clear image of God from the pastor. So he's an ambassador of the church. If a pastor is good, then people will be attracted to the church. And that is true. Some pastors will push people away from the church because of the way they live their lives. Number two, a pastor is a sign of hope for the sick. People who live with HIV and AIDS, people who are having mental health issues, the LGBTQs and all the other people that feel discriminated upon, when they see a pastor, they see a sign of hope. A pastor is also expected to be an encourager. Regardless of what is happening in the life of a client or a Christian or a person, how the pastor handles that either encourages or discourages the Christian or that member. A pastor is expected to be a model of love to all. It is very difficult to teach people about love if a pastor is not known to demonstrate love, not only by his way of life, but also by the way he talks. Hello? Then number 6, number 5, a pastor guards the biblical truth. He is the one who interprets the Bible to the people. And so for the people who are suffering with HIV and other illnesses, they look upon the pastor for interpretation. So the pastor is very important and is very key. A pastor is a shepherd of God's flock. And in that 1 Peter, he is told, be a shepherd of God's flock until the chief shepherd appears. And then the other duty of a pastor is to pray for the flock, visit the sick, and also identify the people he can work with. So the pastor is critical, even as we think about HIV and AIDS, even as we celebrate HIV and AIDS, even as we talk about mental health, how the pastor handles the congregation is very critical. Lastly, the intersection of HIV and AIDS and mental health in Kenya is a multifaceted challenge that requires a comprehensive and compassionate approach. As we have explored throughout these slides, individuals living with HIV often face unique mental health struggles influenced by societal stigma, discrimination, and the complex nature of their health conditions. Despite these challenges, there is hope and opportunity for positive change. The role of mental health professionals, healthcare providers, communities, and policymakers is pivotal in changing a supportive environment. By integrating mental health services into HIV care, and by reducing stigma and promoting awareness, we can contribute to a more resilient and empowered community. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're gonna have time for question and response time. Thank you, Bishop. That was so helpful to just hear the statistics of how we've gotten so far. It's gotten much better, but there's still much to do. So
Yes.
I'm thankful for that. Are there any questions let me stop. Yes.
Thank you, Bishop, for your presentation. I really appreciated it. I was just wondering just about one of the statistics you gave early on, the one about children, that I think it was 2.5 million children have lost at least one parent before age 18. Can you just put that into context for us in terms of what a percentage that might be of the children?
Say it again.
So in your statistic about how many children have lost a parent to HIV/AIDS, do you have a sense of maybe like what percentage of the children in that context that I think it was 2.5 million makes up? Is it 20% or 50%?
I don't have the percentage unless I sit back and compute.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. Thank you, Bishop, for your presentation and presence today. I was wondering if in your context there have been any pastors who live with HIV or AIDS, if that's something that you have seen in your context, and if so, How does the community treat that pastor?
Yeah, I have seen some pastors who live with HIV and AIDS, but the numbers are not significant. I can't really, like I have seen only one that has come out openly. I think there's still a lot of stigma among the pastors. So I have only seen one who came out openly to say he is living with HIV and AIDS. So I would say there could be more, but stigma is still very high.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. My best friend works at the Kansas City Care Clinic, which is very active here with folks with HIV and AIDS. And one of the things that we notice here is the gap in spiritual care and chaplaincy for folks living with HIV and AIDS, because the stigma is still too strong here in many religious bodies for there to be healing work done. So we're still working towards that. Yeah.
So along with that, I was thinking about what are ways that, or have you seen any ways that would help with the stigma, that have helped reduce that? Or what are some ways that you see that could possibly help with reducing the stigma that for mental health and HIV? When you have both, it's really hard. So do you have any ideas or thoughts?
On how to reduce stigma? Did you ask
Yes.
how to reduce stigma?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you very much. I believe that is what we have been trying to do since 2000, and I would say from 2003, that is when we got actively involved in campaigning against stigma, HIV and AIDS stigma. And we are still doing that even today as a church. Not only stigma for HIV, but also mental health issues. I would say that has impacted significantly into the reduction of numbers, as you have seen, because many people have come out and they are talking about choosing to live positively. And people have also embraced going for these support groups. They are meeting in different support groups. And people are also going for the drugs, the retroviral drugs. They are also going for testing. We are also talking openly about safe sex, like use of condoms. And being an African country, getting to that point of talking about condom, a lot has been done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We don't talk about sex, we do sex in our context. We don't talk about it, we just do sex. So when we talk about condoms, we have done serious breakthrough. And thanks be to Don Mesa and the team and other people that have come here to help us talk about this thing. It has not been easy, but a lot of groundwork has been done. So I would say we have significantly reduced stigma on mental health and also HIV and AIDS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
I know that the medications are quite expensive, and so I'm wondering what has been the success rate, or is there any success rate in spreading the two different PrEP medications throughout communities in Africa that help prevent the spread of HIV and AIDS? Has there been any work in getting those two different medications spread?
Different organizations are working with a non-governmental organization to help the distribution of the drugs. But I would say that the government is offering free retroviral drugs to the communities. So they are not as expensive as they were before,
Okay.
except for the money to offer transportation, because people here walk, they don't drive, not all of them drive, and people live in the rural areas, and these medicine mostly are found in hospitals, which are mostly in the urban areas. So accessing them is the challenge, but the government has worked very hard to make them, affordable and reachable to as many people as possible.
Yeah, I was thinking about the accessibility of the drugs. It's free, but how access do they get it distributed? So are they, is there a plan to, I mean, is it, is it only in the hospital that you can get the drugs? Because I know here, I believe that there's just places, just certain places, but sometimes with the stigma, if they could just go to the grocery store, just a normal place that they normally go to, it may increase a person using, getting the medicines that are available. So do you know what type of plan that's in place to distribute the medicines that are free in rural areas?
To the best of my knowledge, they are only in hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
Government hospitals, not even private hospitals, because they go there and they are taken the CD4 count tests before they are given. And because of stigma, some people prefer to go to a far off town than the town or the hospital that is within or near their communities because of stigma.
Yeah.
And so in the process, when they don't get the fare, the money to, travel to that far hospital, there is a lot of non-adherence. And non-adherence has become a main issue to many people in this country. So it also complicates the situation because of not wanting to go for medication nearby because of stigma-related complications.
Bishop, one question I have is, what are some positive ways you're seeing the church make a difference for people with HIV/AIDS and mental health? Where's the church in Kenya actively making a difference in your work?
I would say from where I sit, the Methodist Church in Kenya has done a lot of work towards that, because there is the orphans program that we talked about in the beginning, has been a strong advocate to people living with HIV/AIDS. The church has developed support programs like bringing the people living with HIV together, talking to them. The church also tries as much as possible, and with the help of well-wishers, provide some basic commodities such as food. They also help to do things like building small shelters, like what we have been doing with Don and the team and other partners as well. The church has paid tuition for children, actually more than 1,000 children from these orphan families have gone through school, formal school. So I think the church has done relatively well, or I would say they have tried, considering the fact that the church here is also struggling with resources. At the same time, the church has opened the treatment center where I'm working today. This is to deal with mental health issues. The church also has opened a general hospital where it treats the people, let me say, general problems. The church has opened that. So the church has tried, but there is a lot that can be done. There is a lot that needs to be done, but I would say the church has really tried.
Okay, I have another one. When I was in Kenya and got to see the school and the children interacting, and we had some of these conversations, Bishop, one of the things we talked about was the challenge of women's rights in Kenya and how that, what they had access to. How do you see that still impacting things today? I mean, that was back in 2015 when I got to hang out with you. So we've had a little bit of time since then. So how are women's rights or the rights of children impacting some of the ability to take care of mental health and the physical ailments of HIV/AIDS?
Thank you so much. I would say that a lot of progress has been done. A lot of registrations have been done by the government that are protecting the children and the women. Children also, women have been given rights to property, and they can be able to inherit and claim property in their marriages and also from their families of origin. The children also, there is the Children Protection Act in this country now. So I would say a lot has been done. The problem is in the implementation, because some registrations are done, but they take long before they are implemented. Or some people ignore to obey the registrations that are already done. So there is still a lot of struggle for women. And in my community, for example, it is a very patriarchal community. And they strongly believe that women have no say over the material wealth. But I believe there is progress. It is not where it was 2015. There is progress. And we are also having a lot of women leaders coming up. Like on Friday, my church appointed me to be the chair of Kenya Methodist University Council.
Ooh.
Yeah, thank you. So there is literal recognition of women leadership in the country. So we are making progress. We are not yet there, but soon we'll be there. I believe so, if we don't get tired of pushing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. Any other questions? No, I think that was just a way for us to end if we don't get tired of pushing. Because there's so much that we've come so far, and there's much to do, but we've made it this far, so we must continue to push. Thank you,
Yes.
Bishop. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so I'm going to close, give us a prayer or a blessing that's from the Unitarian Universalist Church for World AIDS Day. It reads, "It has been a long struggle, and our work is far from over. As we go forth, may we be empowered by the spirit of hope and healing, whose one name is God, and whose other name is love." So Bishop, to all that you do and all the others, may the blessings of love be upon you and us and within us. May love's truth be upon your vision. May love's wisdom dwell within your heart. May love's persistence inspire your lips. May love's gentleness give comfort to your bodies. May love's gratitude accompany your sleep. May love's healing be a balm for our brokenness. May love's serenity give peace to our weary souls. May love's confidence energize our minds. May love's challenge keep us faithful. Faithful in our struggle, faithful in our conviction that love and justice and hope will ultimately prevail.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.